So in this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to paint reflective glass in Photoshop. Reflective glass is really cool to learn how to paint, but it can also be really complicated and intimidating at times. So I'm going to just teach you two simple things that you can do to get you started. Okay, so to start off, just download the tutorial base picture from the link in the description and open it up into your digital painting program. This should give you a picture of a lantern without glass or very clear glass that is completely transparent. So to make it look like there's reflections on this glass, we're going to go over to this little icon in the right corner of your picture or your Photoshop page. We're just going to make a new layer by just hitting that little plus icon. And then we're going to go over to our triangle and move our color to pure white. And then we're going to change our opacity to 100%. And so you can just do this by hitting the 0 on your keyboard. And this will allow you to draw in really sharp white lines over top of your glass. And these little white lines will give the impression that your glass is reflecting a really bright light source. So that could either be this candle or it could be something off the page that's shining onto the glass. So just draw these vertical long stripes on your glass. And it doesn't really matter where these are. Usually the stripes won't be in the middle of your glass though. It'll be either a centimeter away from your side of your glass or it'll be right along the edges of your glass is usually where it will be. It's not the rule, but it usually looks better in those locations just because of how reflections work. So this is really simple to do. Just go along and make these vertical stripes. A good practice is also to make sure there's no tangents in your reflections. So right here, I wouldn't start my reflection like right here because this touches this edge here, and that would be like a tangent. It might not look as good, or it will make it look like it's on the back window, not the front window. So if you want the reflection to look like it's at the front window, you would cross over that little ledge. And also, you can add some horizontal reflections right along the base of your windows. And these reflections will just be where the window hits your metal or wooden surface of the candle or the lantern. And some will be thicker and some will completely disappear, and then others will be really thin lines. So the more variation you have will make it look more realistic. You can also make the reflection thinner at the edges of the actual reflection, so it's like instead of like it being the same thickness at the ends, it kind of points at the ends. So just using your eraser, you can make the reflections have a little point. That sometimes makes it look better as well. Like right here, this reflection looks a little bit harsh or not quite right because it's the same thickness all the way up. So if I just make it a little bit thinner in one area, it's going to start looking a little bit more like a sparkly reflection. So this is one way that you can do reflections. We're going to try a different way, and that's going to be by doing a flare of reflections. So instead of just one area being reflected, it's the entire side of the glass. So to do this, we're just going to go over to our layer 1 and we're going to hide that layer because we don't need this bright reflection layer anymore, but we want to save it. So just hide it by hitting the little eye on the side of the layer, and we're going to make a new layer. And with this new layer, we're going to pick the color of our light source, our outside light source. Our outside light source is this blue cyan color. It's not complete cyan, but it's a brighter cyan blue than a dark blue color. And let's make our brush bigger. And you can just do this by hitting the right bracket on your keyboard. And we're going to turn our opacity to 30%. And with the 30% brush, we're just going to paint over the side of the windows that are facing the light source. So that would be on the left side in this picture because this blue light is coming from that direction. And then with our eraser brush, you can just hit the E on your keyboard to go to your eraser. We're just going to erase the parts where we went over the candle or over the lantern. And if you erase too far, you can just do Control Z and it's a backspace or an undo button so that you can go back on your eraser. We're just going to erase right along the windows. Another thing you could do, like if I erased too much, I could also color pick this color and paint in with that color. It's another way you can touch up your window. So right in this corner, I'm just going to do that color picking technique and just color pick and then paint in that area that I erased too much. So very quickly, you can just put in this blue flare and it gives the illusion that there's glass there now. So I hope this video helped you to better understand how to paint reflective glass in Photoshop. I'm going to have more tutorials on how to paint glass, so make sure you check the links below if you're interested.